and welcome to another episode of the Infinite Camping Hot Water System. Today we're going to do our first trial of the system and see how it goes, see if we have any problems and see if there's anything that needs to be fixed. We got 1 week before we go, so let's see what we can do. I'll give you a quick looking at here. So this is the system. That's the reservoir tank over there, the keg that we're using. The cold and hot water lines. You can see the hot water line. I do have insulation on it, and it leads into the pipe that goes into the fire. I'm probably going to attach a bit of a heat shield, maybe some fireproof cloth to kind of protect the hoses. The hose is rated for 200 degrees Celsius. The foam, not so much. So I did just have a bit of a hard time priming the system. I don't want any air in there to make sure the copper fittings and everything are going to be protected while it's in the fire. I did install a one-way valve on the hot water side to kind of help bleed the system because I was having some problems trying to get the air out. If we come over to the tank, which I just finished yesterday, you can see I put in a spigot down below. That took a bit of hammering and getting a flat surface there for the spigot to mount. Michelle was integral in helping me figure out how to get that into the hole because I only had this top section here removed. Quite ingenious. I used a piece of PEX through the top and fed the fitting down through the hole. Thanks to Michelle for that wonderful idea. I did have another easier hole here for the hot water side. So the cold is going to draw from the bottom of the tank down through the valve there. The hot's going to come back in through the top of the tank. And then I did have to drill a hole here just at the top to make sure that there wasn't any pressure. This is a non-pressurized system, so just to make sure there isn't any pressure building in the tank. And then of course I do have my one-way valve hand pump on this side to prime the system. So I'm going to light the fire and see how everything goes, see if we can get the water in this tank up to 100 degrees and how long it might take. And we'll come back with an update as that happens. It's been about 40 minutes now. We're going to take a look and see where we're at with the Infinite Hot Water System. So if we see, I have made a couple of changes. I brought the shaft end down. I figured it would stay cooler this way, and it has. If we feel this section, it's actually, the foam is quite cool to the touch, which is good. We start getting into here. This is extremely hot to the touch. We can't even hold on to that portion. The cold water is very touchable, so we do have a nice water flow coming in through this area. So yeah, this is extremely hot. I have had to use the pump handle on this end, the one-way pump, a few times. I still think I have maybe a couple of minor air leaks because I was getting a bit of an airlock kind of thing by that one-way valve section there, but it seems to have cleared itself up. I do have some more connectors coming tomorrow, so hopefully those will be better. I also decided to use a meat thermometer here just to check the temperature. It's quite a long meat thermometer, so it's going to get me down, to the bottom section of the barrel. Right now we are reading about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. That hasn't changed a whole lot since I put it in. However, if I touch the top of the barrel, it's actually getting quite warm. This is the hot water and it just comes straight into the top of the tank. I have had some water dribbling out the relief hole that I put in there, so we know that we're getting expansion of the water. If I pull the thermometer actually out towards the top end of the tank, we're going to see that the temperature is actually rising. So we're getting some really good heat so far, 25 degrees Fahrenheit difference there at the top. So we are starting to warm up very nicely. If I check the hot water, is actually very nice and warm, still very touchable. The insulation is doing a good job retaining the heat all the way up to the tank. So like I said, we are 40 minutes in with a few modifications and challenges, but I think we've overcome those at this point. So we'll check back in a little bit and see where we're at. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half now. I've been off doing a few other projects, just letting the fire go. It did burn down a little bit, so I've just thrown a few more logs on. But let's take a look at where we're at. Like I said, the fire did burn down. I've just thrown 2 more logs on, so we got it going again. We don't seem to have any more air bubbles forming in this section, which is good. This is still very hot. Let's go check our temperatures. I touched the top. It does feel warmer. The bottom of the tank we see is now just below 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is where the top of the tank was. Let's see if we can get some, we can actually see the water pushing through the hot water pipe there. That's kind of cool. So that is the water being forced back through, which is very cool to see. I did hear a bunch of glugging before. It's actually neat when it really does start moving. You hear the water moving through the system quite rapidly and the air sucking through, which is nice. So let's check the top temperature of the tanks. So the bottom's 100. If we come just dip that in a little bit. 120 degrees ish, maybe about 120 degrees, so that's good. So we're up a bit. With the fire stoked, we can see the water is moving quite a bit more. So now that I'm back attending the fire, hopefully we can get some heat going a little bit faster, and the goal today is to see if we can get it to boiling, so 212 degrees ish Fahrenheit. We'll be back, see how long this takes, but very excited. Everything working really good so far. Oh, actually here. So we're moving the water now with that fire restoked. So okay, we'll be back shortly. Okay, so we're about 3 hours and 15 minutes into this test. We seem to be having some issues. Let me show you what's happening. So we seem to be getting an airlock in the hot water pipe. It just keeps filling with air, and I'm not sure. I moved this around in different directions a number of times. I've tried standing it up, laying it down, and it just doesn't seem to flow all that often. I do get a lot of burping now and again, but really only when I squeeze the ball valve and get more water to flow. You can see I've also even raised the tank slightly above where the fire is, hoping that maybe the air would run up. I just did a bunch of looking and reading online, and I think I may have figured it out. This is going to take some modifications. So you can actually hear it burping and flowing. Now, again, if I run some more water through the system, it's going to heat and do it again. But then it virtually just kind of stops and slows down. You can see our temperature really hasn't gotten a whole lot warmer. I mean, the bottom of the tank, it's very, very warm to the touch right now. The bottom of the tank is at 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's see what the top is. Yeah, not a whole lot different at the top right now. I did even try to drain some water, thinking that maybe it was too full. And this needed an air gap between the water inlet and where the water was. But like I said, it just did a bunch of reading, and I think actually what I have to do is create a system for the hot water much like the cold. Instead of the hot water just coming and dropping down into the tank, which this does, I think I actually need to put a pipe on it and bring it down into the water, so it actually creates a siphon system as opposed to this system, which gives it a chance to breathe air back. Even though I have the one-way ball valve here, and oh, here it goes again. Again, I got that because I squeezed more water through. But like I said, even though I have the one-way ball valve here and the one-way valve down there on the hot end, I think I need to put a pipe inward going down to the bottom of the tank, the same as the cold, so it actually creates a looped draw system. So I'm gonna have to cancel the test for today. I'm gonna have to do some modifications, drain out all the water, modify everything, and retest. This is part of creating something new. I know others have done it online. There's not a lot of plans for this straight piped system. Much of them are coils, which I didn't want to do. So a little bit of modifications. I think we'll have it. We will check in again after I've made the mods and see what we have. All right. Welcome back. Okay, day 2 testing the Infinite hot water system. Spent a lot of time yesterday testing trials, reading the internet, thinking about what was actually happening with the system. So last night I made some modifications that I'll go over here, show you what's going on, what we think the problem was, how we solved it, and then on to testing to see how well that works. So first of all, so again, we haven't made any changes down on this end, the probe end. All the changes were made up here at the tank. So you'll notice we actually have a second assembly coming out of the tank. Yesterday we only had the one and a small hole drilled for pressure relief and for the thermostat or thermometer, sorry, to go in. And then we also had the the assembly here that was installed, going all the way down to the bottom of the tank that housed the water inlet. And of course the other one that was here was the hot water, or sorry, this was the cold water outlet, and then the one assembly here was the hot water inlet. So what we've done is we've removed this whole center assembly. We've put in a second inlet, but more importantly what we've done, and I'm going to try to show you the inside of the tank here if I can zoom in. There we go. I actually put in copper pipes that go all the way down to the bottom of the tank, both the hot and the cold. That is key, I believe, to why the system wasn't working yesterday. Yesterday the cold water was being drawn from the bottom of the tank, going through down to the probe, into the fire, and then back up, and then just dropping freely into the top of the tank. What I believe that was doing, stopping the push-pull part of the process. I think it was breaking, it was creating a vapor lock, and it wasn't pushing and pulling the way it was supposed to. By installing both pipes now to the bottom, along with the one-way valves that we have going, I think it's going to create a better draw system. I looked at a bunch of other coil systems. They're similar but very different to this one, being that the probe end that goes into the fire is a closed system in itself, but not like a coil. So it's different. So in this way, I think we're gonna have success, but that's literally what we're testing today. Did this modification work? Is it gonna make it better, or is it gonna make it worse? So stay tuned. I'm gonna light the fire here, get the probe in, of course fill the tank first, and prime the system. The probe cannot go into the fire unless it is full of water, completely full of water, or it will be damaged. So get back to you in a little while and let you know where we're at.